So Marjorie was married in December 1946 to Bill. Who took the service? Can you remember?
Sorry?
Who married you?
I was just going to say, I think... Mr. Record, he was a Baptist minister who used to come out from Headington, and that was after Mr. Ives had gone. And then we had the Reverend Record, and he was a retired Baptist minister, nice man, and he married both Bruce and Vera and Bill and I, yes. And then after he went, we had the Reverend Starkey. I mean, did you meet them when they came? Yes, well, we had him. Again, he didn't live in the manse, because he lived in Oxford, you see, and he christened both Vera's eldest son and my two elder boys, so, yes.
The manse was built by then, was it?
No. The first person after Mr. Starkey came the Reverend Mackintosh, who was here a few weeks ago, And then there was another man, a Mr. Broad. He wasn't. He was more an evangelistic sort of fellow. He was just filled in for a while, and then after that came the Sterneys, who went on. They lived in a caravan behind the church, and then they went on out to the Cook Islands to be missionaries.
Were they young then? Were they quite
young?
They
came here just married, yes. And the children, the Sunday school children, went to Tilbury to see the John William ship, the new John William ship, because they knew that it would be serving John and Rita,
islands,
So, and then in that, while they were here, money was being raised, to build a new manse, because the manse that was between the White Hart and Ted Turner's old shop. There's one house just there between the White Hart and Ted Turner's old shop. That was the manse. And Mr. Ives lived in the manse. He lived there, you see. But he was the last one to live there. And then that was sold, and the manse, which is now up for sale, I understand, is for sale. It was built, And the Thomases, who came after the Sterneys, they were the first family to live in the manse. So they had 2 children. So there's, as a family, has lived in that manse, And then, of course, when the Thomases moved on, the Brocks come, and that was it, So that's that. Yes, there's been some happy times, because when the Brocks were there, when they first come, they had a doormobile, and in those days, I expect probably you experience it too. When churches had their anniversaries, which was usually in the middle of the week, it wasn't at the weekend, they always had a service and perhaps a tea, or a service and a gathering in the evening. And they used to invite other churches. Well, of course, we were very lucky, because with Brock's Dormamobile, Brock's bus, as it was nicknamed, they could take several of us to different places, And so that was good, But, yes, there's been lots of happy times making, when the Fates started to raise money to build the manse and things like that,
That's what started the Fate, was
yes,
it?
Yes, yes.
And where did it used to take place before the doctor's garden?
Well, it took place, first of all, Mrs. Morgan, who now lives up on the top road, she lived in Crown Road, opposite the Crown, the house there that lays back,
Mm-hmm.
And the church used that, and we used to use it every year for several years, it was a lovely garden. And then when she moved up there, Colonel and Mrs. Haldare, who lived where Mr. John used to live, he doesn't live there now, he moved again, they invited us to go to their garden, so we used to go there. And then of course when they sold that, of course, then the doctor very kindly said we could use his garden, so it's been round a little bit, but I mean it's been going for quite a long time, the fete,
Well, when was the manse built for a start? 50s? In the 50s, was it? 60s?
60s perhaps, I remember. Because you see, after they'd built the manse, then they decided put the 2 new rooms on the back and altered the kitchen and that, which they did. And of course Bernard Hickey very kindly made that mural that was on the wall, and gave it to the church. I mean, he used to do some lovely things in the church, because one Christmas he made shades for all the lights, like the 3 kings and the shepherds and things like that. They were absolutely beautiful. And one, I can't quite remember whether it was, I think it was Christmas, I don't think it was Easter, I don't know, it might be. He and Carolyn did a special service for that time with music and pictures, and we sang carols and things appropriate to the picture that was being shown. It was very moving. It was lovely, There's been some really good moments. Yes, yeah.
We've got quite a few photographs of you when you had concerts and things.
Oh yes, that's quite true. Mrs. Bradbury, who lived at the High Street, I mean, she used to gather some of us together and do these concerts, and it was a real laugh, because it was when the Sterneys was here, and Rita Sterney, the vicar's wife, played a part in it, and she had to sit with her legs apart on the stage, it was all part of the thing. Well, of course, she got some really long drawers on, which was all part of the thing, And a voice was suddenly heard, and it was dead silence. "Oh, you can see the minister's wife's knickers," Because, I mean, that killed it, didn't it? Everybody collapsed, I mean, it's the sort of thing that happens, isn't it? But no. I mean, we had some fun, doing those. Dear Lillian used to be. She once played Queen Elizabeth, and she played Queen Elizabeth I very well indeed. Dear Lillian, you could imagine it, couldn't you?
I could, yeah, I could. Yeah.
She was dear soul, dear soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anything special? Can you remember in 72 when we became part of the URC from being Congregational?
Yes. We had the big service in Christchurch Cathedral.
Did you?
Yeah, it was all the Congregational churches from around went to Christchurch Cathedral, and it was a beautiful service, and I was very fortunate, because there had to be so many servers for communion, because there was communion in this service, and Charles chose me, and because we were instructed who we could take the bread and wine to and who we couldn't, because we couldn't take it to the bishop. The bishop was there, but of course he couldn't. Well, I don't know. I suppose it's all
changed now.
You know, a sort of ecumenical thing.
Unless he was a Roman Catholic bishop.
Mm.
If he was Roman Catholic...
No, it was the Bishop of Oxford.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
Yeah. Because he said, no, if the bishop's on your range, you know, because none of us knew
where we were going
to be, you see. And we all got our instructions. We had to be there to get our instructions, you know. Carolyn played the organ, and it was a really lovely service, yes, and there was tea afterwards, yes. All at Christchurch Cathedral. It was very, very nice. And then, of course, later on, Yvonne, no, it wasn't Yvonne, what was her name, who used to be at Coley, the American lady, I can't think of her name. She did...
Betsy, do you mean Betsy?
Betsy King, that's right. She did an anniversary service at St Columba. I don't know, it was 25 years or what it was, you know. And Vera and I went. I know we went to represent the church. And a prayer that Vera had written was used in the service, because we were asked to, because you didn't know whether it was going to be used or not, you know. And also in the programme there was a prayer that I'd written, so we were very lucky at Wheatley, you know, United Reform. Yes, so that was that was a very nice meeting, and then we had tea afterwards, you know. Yes.
How old were you when you first became an elder at? It was deacon, wasn't it?
That's right. Yes. I'm just trying to think.
Were you still young, or were you a bit older? I mean, did they have people young as deacons then?
I was living in Wheatley.
So you hadn't been married too long then?
No. Because we didn't have Michael until I come up here. So I suppose I was in my late 20s, early 30s, you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
So in actual fact it's over a period of 50 years then?
Quite, yeah. But, of course we used to hold them in the schoolroom in those days, you know. Yeah, talking about the schoolroom, when I was a Sunday school teacher, they used to have a Sunday school exam, you know, and the kids used to come in and used to have to do this little exam, you know, and I was there, and then I had to go to the church or something, and I was getting a book off the organ, you see, and I suddenly saw a movement in the gallery. There was a couple of boys who'd been sent to do their exam by the parents, and they were hiding in the church. Yeah. So.
It doesn't change, does it, eh?
No, it doesn't. It certainly doesn't. No. Yeah. So yes, there's been some.
So this was an annual exam, was it, that they took?
Yeah.
It's like Scripture Union, that type of thing.
Yes.
I remember taking an exam for Scripture Union.
That's right. I mean, it was like at school. Being as it was a church school, somebody used to come once a year and quiz you, you know, about what you knew about the Scriptures. And I mean, that started at a very young age. I can remember I was not long at school before somebody came and started asking questions, and you used to have somebody every year, you know that because a funny little story really. Peter, you know, who carries the cross at church. Well, of course, his dad took over my grandfather's milk business, you see, when Grampy got too old, and. Of course, in those days, milk was delivered on Sundays as well as 7 days a week, you know. And so I forget what the question was to Peter, and he was only, just started school. And so he said, oh, well, my dad says next time he's born, he's going to be born a parson. They only work 1 day a week. He has to work 7. Which was quite funny, you know.
I suppose they were asking about the day of rest or
Yes,
something.
that's right. Yeah, that's quite true. Yeah. It's so funny. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, when it was the anniversary, because as I say, anniversaries were always on Thursday, because that was half-day closing, you see, and we used to sell tickets for different things, for tea, you see, and we kids used to be given so many tickets to sell. And there was one house down Crone Road, the dear ladies, bless them, there were 2 single ladies, and they always went to church. But I knew full well they'd buy a ticket and say, well, you give it to someone who would like it. And who had that someone who would like it would be Marjorie. Oh dear, yes, we had to sell these tickets, yes. It was, I suppose, raising money for the friends, although I think in those days people used to, they didn't used to pay you to do it. You used to just do it and take it, sort of thing. Because, I mean, when they had a rummage sale, it used to be a bit of a laugh, because you never had odd pennies. Because, say it came to £4.19 and 9 pence, well, somebody would give you the money to make it up to £5 or something like that. It was always a rounded up pound, So funny indeed. Never ever did they have any odd pence, because it was much easier to calculate.
What did they charge for the tea tickets then? Can you remember?
I can't remember now.
Shilling? 6pence?
Wasn't a great deal. I mean, it was a lot in those days, because,
right.
I mean, a pound was like £100 today,
Yeah.
But, I mean, it wasn't a great deal of money, Not according to us now, Probably about, as you say, 2 shilling or 2 shillings or something like that, But, yes, we used to love to take these things and get someone who said, well, yes, we'll buy a ticket, but we don't really want it, perhaps you could use it, Oh, dear. Yes, and then, of course, when this not the last hymn book, the hymn book before, when that was brought out, Mr. Harris, of course, was still playing the organ. That was before Carolyn and Charles came, and we had the delight of having Eric Rowley, and if you look in the hymn book, you'll see he's composed several hymns, and he was a delight to take us through various hymns in that new hymn book, It really was. He was such a nice man. He was sort of like a roly-poly sort of man. And he was so nice, so nice. So I always...
was that Congregational Praise, do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, because what is it now?
It's Rejoice and Sing.
Yeah. And then, of course, we went, when Carolyn came, we went through a time when they were choosing and different things, and we sang several different kinds of things, and then, of course, her and Colin were on the thing, and we had Rejoice and Sing, and that's when she said, like I said last week, we're going to learn the tunes to the hymns, none of this singing to, because, you see, before then, there had been another hymn book before the, and then they were still reverting to tunes in that hymn book, I expect Mr. Harris felt, hadn't better wave make the waves to the beat, but it's nice to, look, we had, was it last Sunday or the Sunday before? That Sunday before, wasn't that new hymn? It's nice to learn some new ones, isn't it?
Well, this Sunday with Walter Houston. I don't know who chose the hymns, but they were one or two were ones that I haven't sung, and you had to follow the music.
Yeah.
You know, the tune.
Yeah.
Well, in my case, it was the tune, but
Yeah. Yeah.
and once you got the hang of it, of course, just getting towards the end of the hymn, you've just about got the hang of it, and it's time to stop.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Well, what do you think? Shall we switch off and listen to a bit?
Yeah, we
See
have a cup of tea.
Well, yes, I wouldn't mind, but let's stop
Have a
this.
cup of tea.